2012, I'm sitting back on my couch with a pot of coffee and my pajamas watching this race, and I happen to be watching it with my wife, and we're coming down to the end of it, and I think we were getting ready to do a shopping trip or something like that, run some errands. And
I have better things to do than watch racing. I didn't fully grasp the whole 24-hour race. I didn't understand going to bed and waking up the next morning watching the same thing. I asked him, I said, so if you had an opportunity, to race this series of racing, would you want to do it? And he looked at me, he's like, oh, I would love it. He goes, this is my absolute dream. I've wanted to do this type of racing my whole life.
And she just kind of laughed because we didn't know one existed in Denver, North Carolina, and it's sitting in Mooresville. So about 2 weeks later, after watching this race and watching that, Elton Sawyer gives me a call and says, hey, would you like to interview for a job at Action Express? We run prototypes. And I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely. And then when I got offered the job, I asked my wife, what should I do? Should I take it? It's a little risky. And she goes, remember what you said 2 weeks ago? You're taking the job. So
it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it because we were just sitting on the couch talking about it watching the 24-hour race.
Now 6 years later, I was able to be part of the winning crew as the crew chief, and it's amazing. It's an outstanding thing to be a part of.
To Daytona, that's a big one, right? It's just that race that, at least for me personally, I know a lot of these guys as well, that you dream about your whole life. You watch it as a little kid on TV.
It's one of the great tracks. There's a historical place. There's a lot of history there.
The first time you come to Daytona, you come under the tunnel and you see how huge it is.
Especially currently at Daytona, you got last year's picture of the cars on the wall, and that really means something to see that there.
The atmosphere at Daytona is just a little different than some places. You feel all the history from like the 500 winners and stuff like that, and the old Rolex winners, and there's a nostalgia about that place.
Every time you just kind of stand on pit road and you look up and you see World Center Racing, you're at Daytona. I mean, this is something that people from around the world come to do, and to be a part of it, ever so small, it's amazing.
Well, Daytona in 2017 was very tough.
A Cadillac 1-2 Mustang sampling and Konica Minolta. Oh! And a spin, and there may have been a touch. I think there was a touch.
It's kind of one of those big letdowns, like you just really get really down.
I still get goosebumps thinking about the end of that race now, and what it meant to everyone to really, I'd say, rectify the situation, if you will.
The real thing that drives us to win is not so much that we enjoy the champagne and the trophy and getting our picture taken. No, it's what we want to do is win because we hate to lose so much.
We knew we wanted to come back this year and show everybody what we're really made of.
I was the crew chief of the 5-car from 2011 till the end of last year, 2017. We decided to promote what was my front-end mechanic from last year as well to crew chief. In that process, they moved me over to the 31 car, and they moved Scott Darnell up to crew chief of the 5-car.
We take the approach that promoting from within is the strongest way you can make a team, and we've proven that.
It brought the team together as one team with that dynamic.
That week went by fast. That whole week just kind of flew by, and next thing you know, yeah, it's race day morning. You're like, oh wow, okay, so we're here.
For me, I would say the moment that it was clear that we had our program where it needed to be to win the race was Saturday morning when we walked onto property and saw that everyone else had already been working for at least hours. Cars weren't ready, people were still running around, and our guys just unloaded the cars and had them ready to present. Our work was done, and our focus was there.
You're standing there right before the race starts when they're doing their formation laps, and you're like, wow, we're here. We're actually at Daytona. I'm on that car. Like we're ready to do this. And the green flag drops, and then it's like this, at least for me, this kind of calm set over everything.
And now the hammer goes down as the green flag is waved. Philippe Albuquerque was looking very racy indeed in the red Cadillac, but he's dropped back.
Welcome to modern day endurance racing. It's going to be like this for the next 23 hours and 15 minutes. There is no time to ease off.
It was a great start of the race for Action Express. We were right there from the beginning. We were feeling very confident. The car was running strong, the pace was good. The driver was doing no mistakes at all, which is very easy to do in this stage of the race, to be a little bit greedy. But everybody kept their head cool and they just did their job.
Things get a little mundane. Hopefully, they get mundane. Car comes in, you're putting tires and fuel on it and putting drivers in it and sending it back out as quick as you can.
And we run through the night. We had great battles with Team Penske and other cars.
You know, as you get later into the night, you get more tired and you're trying to stay awake, you're trying to eat, there's coffee involved.
Well, I do not try to stay up all night. After my first couple of 24s, I tried that, but I've learned that you can get a little cat nap in here and there.
A 24-hour race, there's so many things. It's preparation, it's always preparation. We're racing against good teams that have raced plenty 24-hour races before. So, as I say, you just got to be ready for anything and everything.
I noticed, like, we're pushing water, and, like, I mentioned something to Scott, the crew chief, and he had already knew about it by then, but, like, I saw it, and it was earlier before anyone else outside of the team had any indication that it was a thing. And so I felt like, okay, this is going to get worse.
But you got to think for the 5 car, it's like pulling the pin on the hand grenade. It's been pulled. The question is, how long is it going to go before it blows up?
All of a sudden you have an issue, and then you're going, well, we'll be all right. And then you go, we may not make it.
Any more time on that engine, every other time it rolls over, every other RPM. My palms are sweating sitting here. I can't even imagine what the crew is going through.
I was telling myself, don't look at the clock, don't look at the clock, because it's going the wrong way. So, but the obviously the time is still ticking by. It's perception. Everybody's view is, you know, a minute's still a minute for everybody. But certainly our clocks seem to go in at least quadruple slow time, because it took forever, that last bit of the race.
The last hour of the race, you're just waiting for, you know, all the little gremlins to pop up, and obviously with this one, it's a big gremlin that you already know and you can see, and you're just wondering if it's going to grab hold of you. So,
you know, on the last stop was kind of very, very stressful because we were shutting down the engine every stop after that to let it cool down just that extra little bit, and the engine wouldn't start right away. So my heart was pumping out of my chest at that point, because like, it's not gonna start now, we're done. And luckily after 3 tries, I think finally kind of with a weird noise start to... It was a great feeling when we saw like the car was still running.
Think about the performance that Action Express has put forth this weekend with both the 5 and the 31. It has been an absolutely dominant performance for the team. But for Felipe Albuquerque, he's just got to make it through Speedway 3 and 4. Mustang sampling Cadillac. They're going to win the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
The emotion, it's incredible.
Hold all that emotion. Nothing can get you angry. Nothing can get you off your game. And that's why when you watch the end of the race, you see everyone, I still feel it now, you see everyone break down at the end because you've held it together for that long.
It was hard for me after we won to try not to cry, because it was so emotional and so exciting, because despite the fact that, you know, I'm new to Action Express and sports car racing, I've worked for a long time to get to the top level, to be at the top, to be a part of such a great organization. And, you know, I realized at that time I made it.
to me, that's what made it really special, is that all the hard work and, you know, last season, all the hard work, the heartbreak, the blood, sweat, and tears, all that, you know, it like finally paid off.
As a team effort, a 1-2, you can't get any better. It's like the next best guy was third, so we all had the top 2 spots on the podium, and that's for a 2-car team. It's you don't get any better than that.
Obviously, it's great to do that 3 times with Action Express. It's great to do that with support of Mustang Sampling.
We all get up on the podium, and I stood at the back and just kind of watched people celebrate and watch them have their moment, and it was bittersweet, I guess would be the best way to put it. I wanted to be the winner, but it was nice to watch Scott with his success in his first race as a crew chief, and he wins the biggest one.
Stand in victory lane, and the confetti goes off, and the trophy gets passed around, and kind of starts settling down a little bit. And that's when you kind of realize, you know, we're here, we did it, we're the champions of the 2018 Rolex 24.
He came home on Monday, and my son had drawn a picture at school. I'm trying not to cry. Drawn a picture of the race car and a checkered flag, and it said, "So happy you won the race, Daddy. Daytona 24, I love you."